Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are in Whippendale Wood.
Yeah.
Which is just outside of Watford.
It's got a lot of bluebells.
Just to say the least. This is actually a very well-known place to come for bluebells. Really mystical feeling, and yeah, very nice. So we were recommended to come here by Mother Radha Sangha. So shout out to Mother Radha Sangha if you're out there. So yeah, it's very special. It's a beautiful place. So we're going to read from the Bhagavatam.
It's Canto 4, Chapter 2, Text 23.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 23. Daksha has accepted the body as all in all. Therefore, since he has forgotten the Vishnupad or Vishnugati and is attached to sex life only, within a short time he will have the face of a goat. Oh dear. Text 24. Those who have become as dull as matter by cultivating materialistic education and intelligence are nascently involved in fruitive activities. Such men have purposefully insulted Lord Shiva. May they continue in the cycle of repeated birth and death.
So this is Nandishwara, right?
Yes.
It's offering up all these
curses and purport. The 3 curses mentioned above are sufficient to make one as dull as stone, void of spiritual knowledge, and preoccupied with materialistic education, which is nescience. After uttering these curses, Nandishwara then cursed the Brahmanas to continue in the cycle of birth and death because of their supporting Daksha in blaspheming Lord Shiva. So Daksha did his curse, his ranting, and then he left. But as we were saying in the previous reading, anger, when we give rise to it, it's like a virus, or it just spreads. So not just the person who's angry, but it's poisonous, and it affects everyone around. It makes them disturbed, and depending on their mental situation, strength or otherwise, then they also get angry and affected in that way. So Nandishwara has gone one up from Daksha as far as his cursing. It was bad enough to say Daksha's going to get a goat head. Then he's cursing these followers of Daksha to remain in the cycle of birth and death, to be forgetful of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's pretty harsh. Pretty heavy stuff going on now.
Yeah, and also for me, I kind of noted that what you can see is because the Brahmins didn't stop Daksha and defend Shiva, then they were also cursed, which means that if you don't act sometimes, means sometimes you might think, oh, I'm not going to do anything, that way I don't get implicated.
Yes.
But actually, if you don't act, and the same is for Arjuna, if he didn't do something, he would have also gotten a reaction. So, I guess you could say it's kind of a little bit damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of thing. So in this situation, the Brahmins got cursed because they didn't defend Lord Shiva and stop Daksha, something like that. Text 25. May those who are envious of Lord Shiva, being attracted by the flowery language of enchanting Vedic promises, and who have thus become dull, always remain attached to fruitive activities. Purport. The Vedic promises of elevation to higher planets for a better standard of materialistic life are compared to flowery language because in a flower there is certainly an aroma, and there certainly is an aroma around here also. But that aroma does not last for a very long time. In a flower there is honey, but that honey is not eternal. Very good points. Interesting. It's nice. I like it when, something that we're reading kind of corroborates or mixes in with what we're doing, and this flowery thing is we're surrounded by flowers here. So the flowery words of the Vedas also mention the Gita, that we shouldn't be allured and attracted by the flowery words, because flowers are very attractive. So the flowery words of the Vedas, but here it's described that the scent doesn't last very long, which is true, and also the honey that exists in a flower is also it's not eternal. So you may get some temporary taste or some temporary aroma or smell, but it's all temporary. And we're looking for that which is lasting, so like that.
Text 26. These brahmanas take to education, austerity and vows only for the purpose of maintaining the body. They shall be devoid of discrimination between what to eat and what not to eat. They will acquire money begging from door to door simply for the satisfaction of the body. The third curse inflicted by Nandishra on the brahmanas who supported Daksha is completely functioning in the age of Kali. The so-called brahmanas are no longer interested in understanding the nature of the Supreme Brahman. Although a brahmana means one who has attained knowledge about Brahman. In the Vedanta Sutra also it is stated, Atato Brahma Jijnasa. This human form of life is meant for realization of the Supreme Brahman, the Absolute Truth. Or in other words, human life is meant for one's elevation to the post of a Brahmana. Unfortunately, the modern Brahmanas, or so-called Brahmanas, who come in originally Brahminical families, have left their own occupational duties, but they do not allow others to occupy the posts of Brahmanas. The qualifications for Brahmanas are described in the scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita and all other Vedic literatures. Brahmana is not a hereditary title or position. If someone from a non-Brahmana family, for example, one born in a family of Shudras, tries to become a Brahmana by being properly qualified under the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, these so-called Brahmanas will object. Such Brahmanas, having been cursed by Nandishra, are actually in a position where they have no discrimination between eatables and non-eatables, and simply live to maintain the perishable material body and its family. Such fallen conditioned souls are not worthy to be called Brahmanas, but in Kali Yuga they claim to be Brahmanas, and if a person actually tries to attain the Brahminical qualifications, they try to hinder his progress. This is the situation in the present age. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu condemned this principle very strongly. During his conversation with Ramananda Rai, he said that regardless of whether a person is born in a Brahmana family or a Shudra family, regardless of whether he is a householder or sannyasi, if he knows the science of Krishna, he must be a spiritual master. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had many so-called Shudra disciples like Haridas Thakur and Ramananda Rai. Even the Goswamis who were principal students of Lord Chaitanya were also ostracized from Brahmana society, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his grace, made them first-class Vaishnavas. So yeah, just emphasizing this point on caste Brahmins, and it's a nice point Prabhupada made that these Brahmins are not doing what they're supposed to do, but they don't let others do it either. Because Prabhupada was heavily criticized for making like white body, American, especially American disciples, who would say, making them into Brahmins. And irony is that they would conduct themselves in a way in terms of learnedness, cleanliness, the way they live in a better positional way than those who were born into the Brahmin families, and yet they're criticized. Even to this day, it's criticism. So, interesting. You don't do it, but no one else can do it.
Yeah, I think this point, again, being stressed here, that still to a greater or lesser extent, and we were just the other day having the conversation, right, at the table with a man who was saying, no, Brahman means by birth. And, we were trying to explain to him, no, that's refuted perpetually throughout Shastra, and also from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time all the way up until Prabhupada's time, and it continues even now. That this incorrect mentality is like, and I was quoting 4:13 of the Gita, Chatur Varna Maya Shusham Guna Karma Vibhagasha, that by guna and karma, by quality and actions, that determines one's varna, not just by birth. So, like that. Yeah, in this example here, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had Shudra, quote-unquote, disciples that he turned into first-class Vaishnavas. Haridas Thakur was lower than a Shudra. He was considered an outcast, and Ramananda Roy was considered a Shudra, and Ramananda Roy was one of the most advanced associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Their conversation went to the highest levels of understanding and knowledge. So, so it's interesting that this curse was meted out by Nandishwar. Text 27. When all the hereditary brahmanas were thus cursed by Nandishwara, the sage Bhrigu, as a reaction, condemned the followers of Lord Shiva with this very strong Brahminical curse. So there you go. It's just like,
Counter curse.
Counter cursing. This is in previous ages. Nowadays, it's like someone pulls out a gun, another one pulls out a gun, and then first one shoots, another one shoots. And then
Well, no, that also was in a previous age to now. Now you go on Facebook and counter curse.
Good point.
That's the counter cursing.
Yeah.
Slander on social media.
So, purport. The word duratyaya is particularly used in reference to a brahmadanda, curse of a brahmana. The curse of a brahmana is very strong, therefore it is called duratyaya, or insurmountable. The Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita, the stringent laws of nature are insurmountable. Similarly, if a curse is uttered by a brahmana, that curse is also insurmountable. The Bhagavad Gita also says that the curses or benedictions of the material world are, after all, material creations. The Chaitanya Charitamrita confirms that which is accepted in the material world to be a benediction and that which is taken to be a curse are both on the same platform because they are material. To get out of this material contamination, one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. Mameva ya prapadyante mayamatam tananti te. The best path is to transcend all material curses and benedictions and take shelter of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, and remain in a transcendental position. Persons who have taken shelter of Krishna are always peaceful. They are never cursed by anyone, nor do they attempt to curse anyone. That is the transcendental position. So Srila Prabhupada says that those who take shelter are always peaceful, and they do not curse, and they do not get cursed. It's an interesting statement, just from the perspective that we see that in general, I guess it means someone who really takes shelter. It's that age-old thing that's like, if you don't do everything exactly perfectly, you don't get the exactly perfectly result kind of thing, But yeah, we'd see that not always are devotees peaceful, that's for sure. And as far as never getting cursed by anyone, or cursing anyone, that's kind of going on. But I guess the point being that if you're really Krishna conscious, and that's a very high level, it's not just because I chant Hare Krishna that I'm actually Krishna conscious, or because I wear dhoti, sari, tilak, go to the temple, Being Krishna conscious is a very, very, very high thing, and that means that we actually function on a different level from someone who's materialistic. So, yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I think the next one quite long, or no, I think it's okay. Should be alright to read that one if you want, or we can cut it, whichever you like.
We'll call it a day because
Okay.
I'm sitting on a tree stump and it's not the most comfortable.
Okay, thank you all very much for joining us, and being in the pleasure groves of the bluebells here in, where did I say it is? Whippendale Wood.
Whippendale Woods.
Okay, Hare Krishna everyone.
Hare
Srimad
Krishna.
Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Taigo Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.